Chelsea Football Club are about to launch their summer attempt at trying to sign Declan Rice. Bids of between 50 to 60 million pound are expected to be the opening offers. Whether official, whether informal, is neither here nor there. Chelsea Football Club will make a concerted effort this summer to try and land the West Ham and England's central midfielder Declan Rice and bring him back to Stamford Bridge. We're also going to give you an update today on the Lukaku and the Haaland situation. Two updates in the past 24 hours, seemingly upsetting a number of Chelsea fans, and we're going to delve into why. There have been a few widespread reports also that Raphael Varane may be subject to a hijack from Chelsea, with Man United close to announcing this deal. We're going to touch on all these stories and much more, give you the chance to phone up and have your say, to give us your opinions on these situations. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Here we go. Good morning and welcome back to the Terrace. I hope you're all having wonderful starts to your Saturdays. A bit of a day off yesterday, really. We streamed in the morning. I took my son home and then just decided to have a day with my other two children and some friends and just relax a little bit, really. But we're back at it today. Lots of transfer news to catch up on. Interesting things that are being kind of spouted and put out there across media. Part of me think, bit of a slow news day, but it's definitely worth touching on some of these situations, as people on the internet do seem to panic at the drop of a hat. We're going to talk about Haaland and the Lukaku transfer. Some interesting updates and words that came out of Haaland's mouth and the agent of Lukaku, and how Chelsea fans seem to have just gone into panic mode a little bit at the moment in relation to their transfers. And we want to hear from Chelsea fans today. Are you feeling worried about your transfer window? And if so, why? Get your comments in, get your member comments in as well. We want to hear from you. We want to go through that in a bit more detail to understand why and what you're feeling the way you are. Chelsea are reportedly interested in a transfer deal for West Ham star Declan Rice, as long as they can get him for between 50 to 60 million. That's the headline as it stands right now. That's what they're going to be. They may not bid 60 million to start with, but Chelsea in the coming days are looking to step up their pursuit of Declan Rice and make him a Chelsea player next season. This is seemingly one of the two deals that Chelsea are, I wouldn't use the word desperate, but they want to get done this summer. They want to improve Thomas Tuchel's team. That's set to start very, very soon indeed. The story itself very much echoes what Dean Jones told us a few days ago on the Football Terrace, that they would go in. And his words were, it might be a formal inquiry, or it might be an unofficial bid. But Chelsea will be making inroads to go and try and sign him. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. So expect to see that heat up very, very soon. What I find interesting as an outsider from a Chelsea perspective is the reaction links to Rice get. Almost this sense of disappointment amongst Chelsea fans that you're linked with him. And I never really quite understand it. He's a highly talented midfielder. He's got Chelsea blood already. He's from your famed academy. And a lot of you are frustrated that not enough players from your academy are getting a chance. Now, yes, he left and moved away and he's coming back, but it would still represent a player from your academy making it into your first team. And of course, you've got Kovacic and J5 and Kante. But you do need to start looking and building towards the future as well. What's Kante now? Is Kante in his 30s yet? This is my assumption that he must be getting on a bit there. Kante. He's been around a while. Well, he's born in 1991. So, yeah, he's 30 years old. He'll turn 31 this year. And look, he still looks like he's got a lot of time and a lot of legs left in him. But in a couple of seasons' time, he might be past his absolute very best, and Chelsea need to strike while the iron is hot. There's a lot of teams that are interested in Declan Rice. He's one of the best CDMs in the Premier League, without fail. And I think Chelsea look at this opportunity of bringing somebody in who already holds great relationships with the club, somebody that already has great relationships with teammates and people within the system, the likes of Reece James. Of course, his friendship with Mason Mount is very important. Mason Mount is tipped to go on and be the captain of Chelsea Football Club within 2 to 3 years. And maybe they just look at this as being not only a good enough player technically, the right work rate and mentality, but also someone who fits in from a chemistry perspective, who fits in on a personality front, and understands the football club deeply. And I think Declan Rice, we know this already. It's been told by Dean Jones. Declan Rice is very, very excited about the prospect of returning to Stamford Bridge. So for me, it's an interesting one indeed. Again, when I said at the top of this video, a lot of people, a hell of a lot of people that I've seen sort of talking about this situation with Declan Rice have been just, it's everything that Chelsea are doing at the minute. Their fans seem underwhelmed with, and I just want to ascertain and understand why. I really do. A few people here saying Rice is overrated. Brian, thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. Make sure you've all hit that like button for us this morning as well, please. Very, very important to the Terrace that you smash the like button and you share this stream on your social media platform. Brian, thank you for that super chat. It means so much to us. It does. Timothy here says, I thought Chelsea made an offer for Saul. Is Rice a higher priority? Chelsea made inquiries into Saul Niguez's representatives, Timothy. Interestingly, I streamed on Friday, and on Friday I spoke about how the Saul Niguez to Barcelona deal wasn't as complete and as far down the line as people were making out. Now, Chelsea made inquiries to the player, but they haven't had any kind of conversation at all yet with Atletico Madrid. Liverpool have spoken to the player, and Liverpool have spoken to Atletico Madrid. There's a deal between Atletico Madrid and Liverpool. You can call it informal if you like. I'm not too bothered. But both clubs know what it would take to get the deal done on a financial standpoint, and it's within Liverpool's price range. They just need to make a good enough offer to secure Saul Niguez. I kind of said all of this and was shot down again by detractors. Fabrizio Romano last night said Liverpool and Chelsea have made proposals to Saul. He's now claiming they have spoken to Saul. Both clubs are on alert to see what happens with Barcelona in the coming days. If the move collapses, they are ready to try and sign him. Now, for me, it was interesting to see this update because it very much echoes, what we have said in the past in many ways. So for me, it shouldn't be a big shock to anybody to see that. Now, Chelsea, of course, are going to make a number of inroads into different players. Declan Rice he is their main central midfield target. But of course, if you can't get him and you still want reinforcements, why not look elsewhere? When someone like Saul Niguez is available for circa £40 million, you have to get it done. One of our members here says, I'm going to try and say your name, my friend. I'm going to really struggle. Shashishvat. Is that right? Shashishvat? I'm trying my best, my friend. He says, why are they bidding so low for Declan Rice? Very, very normal with players that have high price tags to go in lower and build yourself up. Very, very normal. Done in nearly every single transfer deal that you could ever imagine. In nearly every single transfer deal that you could ever imagine, you do that. Any club, unless there's competition from a major rival, any club that just bids the asking price straight away, stupid. Legitimately stupid. Legitimately stupid. Fair enough, my guy. Fair enough, my guy. Thank you. Now, that brings us on nicely to the updates surrounding Haaland and Lukaku. Now, the Haaland and Lukaku situations are very, very intriguing to me indeed. The agent of Lukaku has come out and said, I want to read his actual quote here in the last few days. He says, when asked about Lukaku's future, the agent said, actually, yes, sure. Lukaku is now on vacation and I think he deserves a holiday. He is taking, so there are no problems. Of course, he's resting up. He goes on to say, in this piece here. Where's he going on to say this? I've read this earlier. Now I can't find the quote. And then he just goes on to state that, he says Lukaku is also mentioned as an option for Chelsea. It seems his agent made it clear he expects to stay at the San Siro. He just said, yeah, sure. We expect him to stay. But that kind of been, my point is, that's all that was said. So when he was asked about Lukaku staying at the San Siro, the words were actually, yes, sure. He's now on vacation. He's taking a holiday. It doesn't mean anything. These are almost empty words. There was a similar thing with Haaland, where Haaland spoke about, and I want to get these quotes back up again because I seemingly have lost them. So I'm just searching for them again here. So Haaland said, and I quote, I've talked a little bit to the new manager, Marco Rose. I know him because I had 6 months with him at Salzburg. He's a nice guy, and I look forward to working with him. That's made every Chelsea fan go, that's it. He doesn't want to leave. He's just being professional. He's legitimately being professional. There's also been a lot of misconstrued ideas. There has been a £150 million informal offer made by Chelsea. They offered players or a player plus cash that they believed equated to £150 million. That's been turned down. People are acting like that's it. Chelsea's transfer dealings are done. They're dusted. They're over. Nothing else is going to happen. Chelsea are not going to come back in again. Now, Sky in Germany have reported, I think, that Chelsea are not going to pay the 175 million euros that's needed. But that's a very normal message for Chelsea to push out at this time. Why would Chelsea publicly state they're going to pay it? I mean, some people have said that Roman's willing to pay it, and maybe that's something that Chelsea didn't want getting out of the football club. Interestingly, there's another comment that was made by Haaland, which seems to have gone unnoticed. It doesn't seem to have got the same amount of traction because it isn't negative, where he said, me and Jadon understood each other very well, and he's a top player. So, of course, it's sad he goes, but that's how it is, and that's football. You never know what will happen. That's another quote that could be twisted into you never know what's going to happen, and the world could change tomorrow. I think Chelsea fans need to relax. There is new talk today of a £50 million approach being made to go after Lewandowski. I'd be very shocked if Chelsea dropped £50 million on a player who's going to want a 2 to 3 year deal, be a bare minimum, because that stops Chelsea from pursuing Haaland next year. It just legitimately does. It stops them from being able to pursue him next year. I know they want a striker, but it is at this point highly likely that if Chelsea don't sign Haaland, if they can't bring in Lukaku, the Harry Kane deal almost looks impossible because of the situation that they have with Tottenham and Chelsea as rivals, that they'll wait until next year. They may then start to look at other targets, other positions, midfield. They may look at a centre-back again. We know that they've made inquiries, and they have spoke to Varane earlier on in the summer. Jules Koundé's on their list as an example. So they may just focus on other areas and then come back in for Haaland next year. The likelihood of Chelsea going after 3 or 4 different striking options this summer at this point is very low indeed. Very low indeed. Daniel here with a super chat says Rice would help, but Chelsea are a proper number 9 away from doing serious damage. And I understand that notion, but they're a proper number 9 away, which is why they can't get impatient as a football club if this deal doesn't get done. We've said all along they may be readying a bid. They may be preparing a bid. Roman may be happy to sanction a bid. That doesn't mean that bid is plausible. That doesn't mean that this bid from Chelsea will happen. If Chelsea's hierarchy deem that level of investment at this moment in time would break FFP rules, even with the new blurred lines that are in place, they may take a concerted, and maybe unpopular, but a concerted business decision to not execute this deal with Haaland. If they feel they're putting the club's European exploits at risk, trust me, I've been someone who's kind of laughed at FFP, and maybe we're right to, but there is this other part of me that thinks maybe, just maybe, UEFA wants to stick it to a club that tried to join the Super League. Maybe throw the book at them if they break an FFP rule. And there are legitimate reasons as to why Chelsea may not activate this bid this summer. They are working on it. That's why their first offer was cash plus players. That hasn't quite worked at this moment in time. but they'll continue to press with these matters. Maybe it's more cash plus a player. No one knows the actual monetary sense they put in. I do hear what you're saying, Daniel. They are a proper number 9 away. I think Chelsea fans have got to remain as relaxed as possible. We put a poll up earlier on today in the live stream, which said, will Chelsea land both Rice and Haaland this summer? 26% say yes to both. This is probably the closest poll we've ever had on the terrace. 24% say no, just Rice. 18% say no, just Haaland. But 31% have said neither. They believe Chelsea will pick up neither of these players this summer. Brian here says, Rice gives me that Carrick vibe, hardworking, totally underrated. Yeah, I mean, very different from Carrick as a footballer. Doesn't have the passing range. I just think he'll be a revelation at Chelsea. I think Chelsea fans scoffing at him. I don't quite get it, but I think you'll be surprised at how good he is. Man like D1, one of our May prize winners on the terrace, says, Terry, whenever we win big, we don't invest properly. We stutter on deals and don't really back the manager. It's similar to when United get top 4 and are usually content and barely spend. And you know what? Maybe this is a pattern that I then need to focus on. So this is the one thing I'll say. I wasn't aware of this pattern because I'm not a Chelsea fan. And it's only really been the last two years or so that I've been covering the top 6 as intently as I have done. So this is something I'm going to look out for and I'm very much aware of. Speaking of that, I know I promised to do it yesterday, but after my son going home, I wasn't in the greatest space mentally yesterday. Very, very sad and upset that he was leaving. So I didn't stream. So we will be doing the June prize draw tonight. Remember, any super chats you get in or any new sign-ups to our memberships in July and any super chats over the value of £5, $5, 5 Canadian dollars, you will go into the prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice. So get them in now. We're also going to share the link for you to come on and for you to have your say today as well. I want you to come on and speak about these transfer deals. We are going to speak Varane in just a few short moments as well. Sorry, I want to write this in capitals and just turn the cap lock off. Call in now. That's pasted. Get yourselves on. It's in the live chat. I'm going to pin it to the top of the live chat. So even if you're not, you don't see it's the pin comment within the live chat now if you want to come on and if you want to have your say. Get them super chats in as well. Sign up to the membership. It costs as little as 99p per month. Lots of new things on the way. The Football Terrace website is closing in on completion. We've got brand new emoji stickers being put together now, and we're planning, hopefully we're going to have them announced early August, the first 2 Football Terrace away days, which will be available to our first team members and above for you to attend and for you to be in the audience, for you to come on and have your say and be involved with us. I appreciate the love in terms of my son going home. It's one of those things. I'm normally relaxed about the situation. It was just because he was here for a week and he went back, and I'll FaceTime him later. It will be all good. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's go to we'll do a couple of calls. Then we're going to talk about Raphael Varane, the hijack situation, what's being said. I think it's worth delving into and then giving you the information that I have that's a guarantee, as well as letting you express your thoughts and your feelings on it. We're going to go to Godfrey, first of all, on the terrace this morning. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Hello, Seth. How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm from South Africa.
Nice to hear from you, my friend. What do you want to say about it?
I would like to say the Haaland deal. I don't think it will happen. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I don't think it will happen.
Okay, why not? Why not?
Because Dortmund doesn't want to sell to Chelsea because they made it clear that Haaland is not going anywhere.
Yeah, he may not. He may not go anywhere. Where do you think Chelsea should focus on if they're not going to get him?
Romelu Lukaku. I think Inter Milan is in real trouble due to lack of finance. So I think we should focus on Lukaku.
I mean, that's certainly a take. A lot of people would. I think a lot of people would agree with your take on that and think that think that you should go after Lukaku. He's a player that a lot of Chelsea fans rate and would like to see come back. Obviously, a little bit cheaper, but there's still a lot of uncertainty as to whether or not that could actually happen. So we will see. Godfrey, thank you very much for calling in, mate, and having your say this morning. Top man. Thank you. Look after yourself, my brother. It looks very warm. In fact, it's very warm where we are today. It's me 30 degrees where we live. Next on the show, man like Gems in the house. CFC Gem is here. Bro, 50-odd million pound bid incoming for Declan Rice. The striker situation is up in the air at the minute, but Chelsea fans panicking aplenty on socials. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, morning, bro. Hope you're well anyway.
Thank you.
Look, I think the Declan Rice situation, for me, the reason why I feel Chelsea fans are going a bit OTT is because, for me, it has the same sort of similarities with the sort of Ben Chilwell deal. When there was talks of him coming for around 70 to 80 mil, there was a lot of panic for Chelsea to go and sign a player for that kind of money. And I feel like if it's 50 mil, cool, I could probably bear it a bit more. 40 mil I would prefer a 40 mil deal, but anything like a 70 or 80 mil sort of triggers us Chelsea fans, especially for a player that comes in, doesn't bench Kane, doesn't bench Jorginho, and doesn't bench Kovacic. He's going to be a rotation player. He's going to come in. He's going to play in certain individual games, and I think that's a lot of money to spend on a DM. I get the whole progression thing moving forward, but I just think it's a lot of money to spend now on a DM that probably doesn't start in front of them players. I think that's the real big thing that probably gets to many Chelsea fans with Declan Rice. And number two, I don't think Declan Rice as an individual, as his sort of player profile, where he is at the moment in his career, I don't think a 70 or 80 million pound bid or market value for that player is correct. I don't think he's at that, because if you look at that kind of money, I think that's a lot of money to spend on someone. I think if you're valued at that amount, in my eyes, you have to be the complete player. And I think the issue that we do have is a lot of English players generate a lot of English tax, and I just feel like he's overpriced in many ways as well. And that's why I wouldn't want us to spend that kind of money. I get it if it's around the 40 or 50 million. I get that. But anything more, I understand why Chelsea fans would feel a little bit with the whole deal.
And I do understand that. I do understand why Chelsea fans feel the way that they do to a degree. Do you just think there's a divide amongst Chelsea fans though? So I see this on socials a lot at the minute. There's almost this element of unadulterated Rice prop, where even there's certain Chelsea accounts, every West Ham game for the past 2 years, they tweet about Declan Rice and how amazing he is. Those same accounts are quite derogatory towards Jorginho. Equally, in reverse, there are accounts that, the ones that push the Jorginho for Ballon d'Or, Jorginho the best midfielder in the world. By the way, you know how great I think he is.
Yeah.
Equally, they downplay Rice. They look at every opportunity to kind of rip into him as a player. Is there this divide that you feel between Chelsea fans around what you already have got in midfield and signing Declan Rice? Almost this youth versus purchasing players. I know that. Do you get where I'm coming from? There seems to be
I do. It's more of a player emotional attachment than thinking about what's best for the club. And as Chelsea fans, I've seen it not only on Jorginho, I've seen it on Christensen, I've even seen it on Timo Werner. I've seen it on a number of individual players through our club. And yeah, I agree. There is a divide between us. It seems like forever we're always arguing about players, like who's the better player, why this player shouldn't start over this player. We don't actually sit down and actually think to ourselves, you know what? Why not actually bring in players that give us competition? Because when you look at Chelsea a good couple of years ago, they had. I can hear someone coming. Is that the little one?
Yeah, she's showing me her brand new Nike shoes. You see these?
Hey, wow, they're nice.
You see these? Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, both yours. You have to have two of them, absolutely, for both of you. How many feet have you got? 2, yeah. 4 feet. Oh, you got 4 feet. All right, you off? All right then. Thank you, darling. Love you. Cheers.
Oh, mate.
Me. half close.
Yeah,
but
just
there we go.
the main,
Sorry,
the
mate.
main,
Go on, crack
no,
on.
no, the main answer to that was it's just squad depth. If you look 10 years ago, Chelsea used to bring in the most random players in the world. I remember at one point we used to have a midfield, Yuri Yarosik, Smertin, Thiago, all these random players that were also competing for the likes of like Frank Lampard, Claude Makelele, and people never used to question these players and them individuals coming in, and everyone saw that it was important that we at that point had depth. And today, and I think the problem we've got with today's sort of generation is I don't think they like that. It's just like, oh no, my player has to play. You can never drop my player. Squad. It doesn't matter if we need squad depth. They need to play 38 games a season, and it doesn't work like that anymore. It's important that when you're playing in all 4 competitions, that you have a strong enough squad. I would personally not spend that kind of money on Declan Rice. I would probably go and look for someone slightly cheaper, maybe a Tuchemeni, who's meant to be about 25, 30 million, and bring him in because I do think it's an area where you ain't replacing, unless you're bringing in a Verratti, you ain't really replacing Kante's, the Jorginhos and the Kovacic's. But here's my opinion on that, man.
I do understand. One thing I would say though, and I'm again, I don't have an emotional attachment to Chelsea Football Club, so it's often easy for me to say. But Thomas Tuchel appears very keen on Declan Rice, in this, maybe not as keen as Lampard was, but very keen on Declan Rice. This is a man that transformed your team, turned you into European champions. I understand fans are allowed to have an opinion. I understand that to a very high degree. My life is centered around giving fans opinions. But isn't there also a challenge to say this manager that you've all raved about, praised, put onto sort of, some of you claiming better than Klopp already, blah, blah, blah. If he wants Declan Rice, do you not think all fans maybe should just go, okay, I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to wait to see how it plays out for the next 12 months with him. If Tuchel wants him, shouldn't that be enough for Chelsea fans, in your opinion?
100%. The guy deserves to bring in who he wants. And if it is a Tuchel sign-in and he does want Declan Rice, I'll back it. I've just got a feeling that because these talks with Declan Rice haven't gone away since Frank Lampard, I'm starting to think more if it's more of a board signing than a manager signing. I think they might have spoke to the managers about the Declan Rice thing, but I just got a feeling that it might even be that the board want him there, And look, if Tuchel wants Declan Rice and thinks he's important and he actually thinks he can start and play enough games to merit the amount of money that we're going to spend to bring him in, then cool. We have no right to argue with someone that's already proven to us that he can elevate levels out of certain individuals, which I never thought we could actually do. Jorginho, Christensen, so he deserves that back in.
And I totally get that. And look, for me, I think it's just one of these things where I say all the time to people, there's just wait to see how a player turns out. And I know we all have attachments to players, but Chelsea have been buying club or board players or club players forever. And this is part of the structure that makes your club so successful. You're buying players that the club thinks will stand the test of time. When you think about the core that you had in what I still consider to be your peak era under Roman from 2004 through to say 2012, 2013, your peak era, which is now picking up again because you've just won a Champions League, right? That core outlived every manager. And essentially that's how great clubs are run. Your core should be able to withstand. If every time you brought in a manager, the manager was able to build the Chelsea squad 100% in his own image, as opposed to his view of the Chelsea image, you might have got rid of half that core group in 08-09 because they stopped winning titles, and then maybe you never win the Champions League. It's a case of, I just say to Chelsea fans, your model has invariably worked. You're one of the most successful teams in Europe of the last 20 years. Like when you actually deep it with the league titles you've won, domestic trophies and Champions Leagues, there are very few that have punched above you. You're probably on a domestic level, like, yes, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, you kind of have because they dominate their domestic level so much. But actually, you start, look, how many teams in the last 10 years have won more than 2 Champions Leagues?
Not many. Real Madrid, yeah.
I think have Maybe Bayern Munich have. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're talking about like a handful of how many clubs are in Europe? How many teams playing it? Like, I just feel like Chelsea fans need to, as a Man United fan watching, I find the panic slightly over the top. The panic over the top. It doesn't need to, because you were doing bits last year without one of these number 9s. If you don't sign a number 9, you're going to improve other areas and you'll go back in for the player a year later. I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more calm. Your squad is top class. Your manager is world class.
I think you're always going to get that at Chelsea, though, Terry, to be honest, because of the amount of players Chelsea bring in. And you got to bear in mind as well, as we have brought some absolute great players that have gone on to be legends at our football club, but we've also brought as many stinkers at the same time. So I think everyone's always sort of sceptical with the way Chelsea do things and sort of the player profile that they bring in. And, you know, Declan Rice may come in and be the new, I've been told by a Chelsea fan yesterday, the new John Terry, in terms of his leadership, he's the way he tackles. This is what I was being told, you know. Maybe he'll come and get close to that level and be a Chelsea legend along with the Mason Mounts and whoever else ends up staying at the club, that we'll have to see.
No, I totally agree, mate. Jem, great call, mate. Thanks for giving us that clarity.
Cheers,
top man. Thank you. We're going to do some more calls later. I do want to delve into the Raphael Varane news today. So I was sent, as I said, I took a bit of an evening off yesterday, although I did tweet quite late when I saw that Fabrizio had confirmed my Saul Niguez news. Also this morning, or maybe 9 hours ago, so it was early hours of this morning, Duncan Castles has confirmed my news yesterday about the price of Raphael Varane. £42 million base transfer fee paid over 4 years. Around £8 million will be in bonuses and add-ons. Although I wrote add-ons, I meant add-ons. That's on its way. That's going to be coming in. Total deal will be around £50 million or 58 million euros, including them. So I tweeted about a couple of those just because just want some flowers. Now, many messing, but a lot of people were DMing me and sending me these links to these kind of loose stories about a potential hijack move from Chelsea for them to try and come in and take Raphael Varane away from Manchester United. And I read the stories because I think it's worthwhile sort of looking at. I don't really know where it's come from. I've seen it on a number of sort of aggregator websites, etc. But no, I think Marca might have been the outlet that reported it originally. But essentially, Chelsea could try and reportedly hijack Man United transfer of Real Madrid centre-back Varane. I texted and messaged a few journalists last night. I messaged a couple of agents that I know quite well and said, your thoughts on this? And they just said, no. Played it down massively. They don't think Chelsea are interested in him in that way at this point. They're focusing on other deals. Chelsea's name is being used a little bit here, maybe just to create news, because Real Madrid and Man United are in a very good space with negotiations. The player wants to join. There's no pressure on this deal right now. It was a bit of a weird article to come out. So you may start to see a number of aggregators, a number of Twitter accounts kind of push this news. And a lot of the aggregators, just like me, just share news. So don't have a pop at them for putting out the news that's there. But having spoke to a few people in the last sort of 12 hours or so, the thought or the idea that Chelsea are going to try and hijack or take a deal away from Man United is baseless, absolutely baseless at this moment in time. So it wouldn't be something that I would worry about at all. Comment here from Kate says, you ain't spoke to anyone. Well, my friend, if that's what you want to believe, then, and that makes you happy, then believe it, my friend. No animosity from my end. You know, we all want to, you know, believe what we want. Believe what you want. It's entirely up to you, my friend. It won't deter how I feel. Won't change the tone of my voice towards you, because I just know that I'm not a liar. Let's go for a few more comments here, Terry. Someone said I've got a typo in the comment section. I wouldn't be surprised. Chelsea to bid 50 million for Rice. Haaland, seen it. The Haaland transfer. There we go. Well done, mate, for spotting that. Let me get that updated. Transfer update, Varane United. There we go. Right, that's updated now, my friend. Thanks for pointing it out to me. Terry, Don't trust Chelsea. They can hijack anytime. And maybe they can hijack anytime. But the point I'm making is at this point, people I spoke to just said no. There's no sounds of that anybody's heard of at all. Now, Chelsea, of course, did make inquiries into him much earlier on in the summer. They undoubtedly did make some inroads and they had some conversations. I've actually got some of the clippings here, sort of about this that we were looking at. Where are we looking at here? But it was mainly Manchester United. Yeah, so there was a headline from, oh God, this would have been, what date did I save this on? So I even saved this article on the 2nd of June. So on the 2nd of June, there was sort of like Man United and Chelsea could pick up Varane for a cut price 40 million. Just goes to show that a lot of those articles from all those weeks ago, getting towards 6 weeks ago, were actually fairly truthful in terms of the overall price that Man United or Chelsea could have picked him up for. Chelsea just haven't pursued it because centre-back wasn't the top priority for them. That's all it comes down to. The Shane here says Varane is trash, but you have Lindelof and Bay. Shut up, Varane has 3 Champions Leagues. Yeah, listen, people that are calling Varane trash, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's people talk about Ollie tax and English tax and this tax and the other. One of the biggest taxes you'll ever see on a player's attributes or ability is United tax. A player becomes, there's a YouTuber I'm not going to name because he's a friend of mine. I remember him literally saying once upon a time, Sancho is the only gifted English player in the world. Doesn't really like English players. Now that he's joined Man United, I've already seen him start to like rip into things, find the flaws, find the problems. He just is what it is. Do you know what people do when a quality player signs the club that you despise? You know, if someone's in a relationship but they've got no reason to get out of it, so they start looking for things. Oh, do you know what? When she laughs, like a vein pops out her forehead. Like they start to look for things that are not really that important. They don't really bother them, and then they kind of hang on to them as an excuse. That's all that's going to happen. But it's a beautiful thing to see. Idiots do it when Chelsea sign good players. Idiots do it when Liverpool sign good players. And it's fun to have a little bit of banter. What I actually think is but this show, again, it's key stage 1 banter. I'm just going to say your good player's shit. It's sort of like Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, me and my friends are funny. What's the best thing to do is to praise that player up. Build that player up to being the star. Oh, my God. Liverpool have just signed blah, 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 blah. He's this, he's that. He's going to do this, going to do that. Da, da, da. Then when he flops, then you laugh. If you say he's rubbish, and he does rubbish, you've got nowhere to go with your banter. You have cornered yourself. Idiots. Like key stage 1, like, oh, yeah, he farted. Literally, that's what you sound like. It's terrible. It's terrible. Honestly, I should buy these guys some pen and paper and let them practice. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace this morning. The link to phone in is in the description. The poll we've got running is still very close, but 32% of you think that Chelsea will sign neither Rice or Haaland this summer. We're going to do some more calls for you here. I feel like Terry has had too many relationships. Not really. I really actually haven't. I have a rule about relationships. You should only get into the next one if you like them more than you like the previous one. Otherwise, it'll always feel underwhelming. So no matter how much you love person A, you broke up with person A, but your next proper relationship, you need to have more emotion, more feeling, more connection than the one before. Otherwise, it's pointless. Otherwise, it will never fulfill anything. So for that reason, I've only had a handful of like relationships because most people I've met, I'm just like, you ain't it, man. If I can't have a conversation with someone, either if someone doesn't know how to have a conversation about multiple subjects, they could look like a cross between Maya Jama and Beyonce, and I'm still saying no. It's like, listen, thanks, but no thanks. Jeremy here says, good morning, Terry. I hope you are well. Varane should be a United player. Varane will be a Man United player, barring Real Madrid pulling the plug at the last minute. It's on. Looking for a family home in Cheshire. Schools. I know one thing for a fact, already got stuff lined up to get his he's banking elements of things worked out within the UK. He is desperate to not have to return to Real Madrid in any capacity. He wants to fly straight from his holiday to Manchester to complete this deal. He wants to go straight into preseason training with Manchester United. There is a true, genuine, heartfelt desire for Varane to be a Manchester United player. Abdullah here says Varane is a beast, world class. He's certainly quality. We're going to do some more calls. We've got Matt to come on. We've got Eric to come on. We've got Fixer to come on. But first, we're going to go to CFC Beast on the line. What you saying, bro?
Yeah. How are you, Terry?
I'm very, very well. I'm very, very well indeed. What are you here to say, my friend?
Well, number one, this Declan Rice bid, man. Can you guys just buy him, please? I'm tired of this saga going on. Every 2 seconds, people want him, people don't want him. Our fan base is splitting just because of one player. If Chelsea sign him, it will be one of the most toxic signings in our fan base, with how well Jorginho and other players have done. And for him to just come in, and if he doesn't perform well, it's gonna be a very, very, very long, very, very long place to be on Chelsea Twitter. But on the Haaland thing, I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit in between now whether we will get him or not, because we need to act quickly. I don't want to have to go. I want to start the season, and then on deadline day, we start scrambling for, I don't know, Danny Ings or Callum Wilson or Ivan Toney. I'm trying to see that. I'm trying to have Haaland before the season starts. That way we can bed him in, let him to get to know players and understand Tuchel's system. Because we as a club have just won one of the biggest trophies in club football, and in fact the biggest, and we need to continue that on for next season. And the one thing that we need to help us challenge Liverpool and Man City and even Man United is to buy a striker, because without a striker we're scrambling for top four. Scrambling.
Why scrambling? You're in the back end of last season. You had one of the best records from when Thomas Tuchel. In fact, let's just take a look at this so we can make sure that we're not chatting nonsense. What date did Thomas Tuchel take over, my friend?
I think it was the Wolves game. I don't know what date it was. It was the Wolves game. Yeah, it was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone in the comments, I'll wait for their comments. Just want to give me an update on what that date was. I know I swear it was like a Jan some point. I'm sure someone's going to put in a comment in a second. In fact, what I'll do is just Tuchel. The date 26th of Jan. So we'll put 26th of Jan in here until the end of the season. So between the end of the season and then, you played 19 games. You did draw 5 and you lost 3. You got 38 points. So only City on 48 points got more points than you between now and then. Now I know there's a 10-point difference, but of course Tuchel didn't have any training sessions. He didn't have any pre-seasons or anything along those lines. But you still outperformed amazingly in that time period. Leeds United, third on 36 points. But you got 3 more points than Man United, 4 more points than Arsenal that didn't have a bad run. You know, you got to think about, like Liverpool did well at 35 points, but it was a good run-in. Do you not feel that with the squad you've got, you will make some additions? I cannot see you not saying anybody. Do you not feel that with the squad you've got and Tuchel having a full pre-season that you can compete, or is it a case of even with Tuchel in this squad without a prolific number 9, we're not challenging for a league title?
Even without a number 9, we're not challenging. I just can't. Like an example is the Aston Villa game and the Leicester and Arsenal game. That Arsenal game, even with that mistake, we should have won. Realistically, we had so many chances. That there was a time where Giroud hit the bar twice. I think I think it was Hudson-Odoi that hit the bar first. Then Giroud hit it again and it hit the bar again. It was like some FIFA moment. And then against Aston Villa, we just became sloppy. We have to be consistent, and sometimes we don't have that player. We don't have that like Eden Hazard or that Aguero or that De Bruyne, where when times are going tough, that player is just going to come out of nothing. We don't have that. As great as Mount and Havertz and Werner and all of these guys have been, they're more of players that when the team plays well, they play well. We need that. We need that player that when times are going tough, when the game's not going our way, they just pull out of nothing and we win the game. And we don't have that, so that's why we need it.
No, I do hear you on that, mate. Listen, great call, CFC Beast. Appreciate you coming on and giving us your thoughts and feelings. Top man. Thank you. Chelsea fans, give us a call. The link is in the comment section. Get your super chats in as well. Anything over the value of £5 or $5, you'll go into the prize draw for July to win a football shirt of your choice. Anyone that signs up to the Football Terrace membership schemes this month will also go into that prize draw as well. Next on the show, we're going to go to Fixer. Fixer, welcome back to the show, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, did you hear about the news where Real Madrid wants to offer United Vinicius Junior, along as well as Varane, apparently to sweeten the deal? Did you hear that?
Well, to sweeten it for us. I mean, I read it. I read the headlines. I didn't delve into it because I just thought it's never happening.
I think there's something in it. I think if we should get rid of Martial and bring in Vinicius, I swear to God, we'll be transformed, guaranteed, man.
Really? You think Vinicius Junior is better than Anthony Martial?
Absolutely, he is better. I know he struggled at Real Madrid in his first couple of seasons, but all in all, I mean, we'll never get rid of Rashford. That will never happen. He's Man United's baby, so he's never gonna go. So I think we should get rid of Martial, bring in Vinicius. Why not? He's definitely going to be better than Martial. He's going to put more effort, and he's a better footballer all around. Martial is a luxury player. We can do without him, basically.
I don't know. It feels like a weird one to me. It's like in the last couple of weeks, it was all like Real Madrid trying to get more money, and now it's almost like they're offering to try and tempt. It's like they're offering us Vinicius as part of the deal. The fact they're offering us one of their, like, that tells me he's earning too much money. He's earning too much money a week. They can't afford it, and he isn't performing for them. And if
they want to buy Mbappe, that's why. They want to buy Mbappe, that's why. So they kind of raise money.
I do get that, and that's one of the reasons why Varane feels disrespected, because they didn't offer him the money that he thinks he deserves, because they're trying to put all their eggs into that Mbappe thing. Look, I'm not. Vinicius Junior, I don't know enough about him I'm not going to assassinate his character.
He's good, trust me. He's good.
But good at what?
He's good at football, mate.
Did he score? He's an attacker. So does he score or create?
He's more of a creator, but he also scores as well. And I know what you're going to say. His figures aren't that high, Real Madrid, etc., etc. But trust me, if we bring him to United, he's going to turn it up. I guarantee you that.
Why though? Like how? Like I'm not discrediting him. I'm asking you to tell me.
Okay, how? Because at Real Madrid, the standard at Real Madrid is very, very high. Okay, there's so many like players that even if he's good, he's not gonna like shine through except he's like literally Mbappe levels. Okay, first of all, if he came to Man United, he's already just walking through the door. He's already gonna be better than a lot of our players. Like a lot. He's gonna be better than Martial. I know what I'm going to say next is going to hurt a lot of people, but it's going to be better than like Rashford as well. Even though I love Rashford and I wouldn't want Rashford to go, but technically he's a better footballer than both of them. Like technically, okay. when it comes to like all those one-on-one chances that Rashford and Martial will blow, he will score them.
So, based on what will he score them? He how many goals has he scored? I swear Rashford scored more goals last season than Vinicius Junior scored in his whole European career. So my point is, what makes you say he's better?
Because he's a better footballer. Didn't you see the European Championship? I mean, not the European, the South American Championship. He played for Brazil, man. They got to the final. I mean, he's a better footballer all rounder.
The standard of that tournament, you can't compare it to someone doing you can't compare it to European football.
I'm sorry. All the best players play there. The Brazilians, the Argentinians. Messi plays there for Christ's sake, man.
Brazil and Argentina, yes, they are. They are amazing.
You have your James Rodriguez there. You have your Sanchez,
Who?
Rodriguez, James.
He wasn't even at the tournament.
Yeah, but he plays in the South. That's what I mean. In South America, in general, they have players from there.
And he plays.
Standard.
And he plays for Everton.
After playing for Real Madrid for ages. Come on, man.
No,
and by Munich.
He flopped. They flopped. They didn't want him. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but when Real Madrid doesn't want a player, it's different from when other clubs don't want a player. A player that Real Madrid doesn't want.
Hang on. I don't really care what he did in South America. I care what he did in Europe. You've made a claim that he will outscore Martial and Rashford. Based on what?
Based on the fact that he's just a better footballer, Terry. He is. Come on.
Give me an example of what he's better at. He ain't better at scoring. He doesn't create more. He doesn't score more. I don't want someone who's a better dribbler, but at the end of it, does nothing. What's the point?
How many goals did Martial score last season?
Not very many, but you look at
there you go.
Hang on. We're not boiling it down to one season overall.
I'm sure if you go back in Vinicius season, if you go back like 3 or 4 seasons, I'm sure Real Madrid didn't buy him because he was shit. He must have been good at something for Real Madrid.
In South America, great, but we're talking about what's he done in Europe?
What has Martial done in Europe? Apart from that one season, he scored like 20-something goals. Besides that, either way, he hasn't done nothing.
I don't mind replacing him. But if you're going to replace him, you have to replace him with somebody that has a proven track record of being better. Why are you replacing with someone who, when he scored a brace against Liverpool, like there were Madrid fans across the world almost fainting in shock. Why do you want that player at your club?
Yeah, but Real Madrid fans are like that. Those guys were attacking Gareth Bale after he won them 4 Champions League. They were kicking his right. They're very, very spoiled fans. I don't think we should judge any player based on the wrath of Real Madrid fans. That's what I think, basically.
I don't know, mate. He scored. Listen, in his time at Real Madrid, in the Champions League and in the Champions League and in the. Let's have a look at some. We're going to look at some facts here. We're going to do some facts rather than.
There we go.
No, we've got to do this because look, do I think Vinicius Junior is a terrible football player? No, right? But you're saying he's better than other people. You've got to give me something tangible, not just I like him. It's because I think I like him.
Now, it's not even that. He's just a technically better footballer than Martial.
Technically that. What does he deliver, bro? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day,
what does Martial deliver? It's the same thing. Martial doesn't do anything.
One bad season. Let's take it away from Martial for a minute because you just said he's better than Rashford as well. So we're gonna take. Actually, what we'll do, I'm gonna.
No, let's stick to Martial because Rashford is never gonna be touched.
Okay.
All right.
Let's slow down a second, all right? Because I need to get Martial up. For whatever reason, my computer's been really, really slow today, so I'm gonna shut a few other windows down to hopefully speed this up here. So we're getting Anthony Martial up. It's just taking a little bit of time here. So we're going to play a little game, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're smashing that like button and that share button as well. Oh, why is this? The day that I want my computer to run quickly and move quickly, it's running so slow. It's annoying me. But we can wait. We can wait. It's still loading Martial stuff up. My word. Right, Martial's up. Premier League, Champions League. Okay, so Vinicius scores in 18% of the games that he plays in. What percentage do you think Martial scores in?
Did you say 18?
18% of games that Vinicius plays in, he scores in. So under 1 in 5. What about Martial?
I know what you're going to say. Probably what, 40% or some stuff like that.
39%. Vinicius assists in 13%. Martial, fairly close. We're looking at 17% there. Start looking at other things in here. Dribble success rate of Vinicius, 47%, 48% for Martial. Crossing accuracy, 30% for Martial, 22% for Vinicius. Offensive goals in a game, 15 attempted per game, 42% won. When it comes to Anthony Martial, okay, he is attempting 15 per game, and he's winning 52% of what he's doing. Touches in the penalty area, 4.2 per game for Martial. In fairness, 5.2 for Vinicius, but he's scoring less, which means he's wasteful. So
okay, all right. Just the scoring. The only place Martial has more levels is the scoring.
Let me finish. The one thing he does more progressive runs than Martial. That's Martial's only. Hang on, let me finish.
So he's more hardworking.
No, it's not about being hardworking. It's about what he sees. 1 second. It's not about hard work. You're not understanding what progressive runs are. The issue Martial has is he's not a great progressive runner when he plays in that number 9 role. He doesn't make those kind of runs we see from Cavani. Vinicius is better at that. But however, Vinicius is making more runs and having more touches in the box, but he's scoring over half the amount of goals that Martial does. For me, that makes him pointless. That makes him pointless.
No, Terry, it doesn't. It doesn't. It
What
doesn't.
Vinicius will do at Man United: better skills, better flair, better tricks, more
better assists,
more progressive runs. But he's going to miss the goal more, and it's going to be what's the point? Imagine you have all those things; it looks amazing, but there's nothing at the end of it. Do you know what I mean?
Terry, Terry, that start is not. That start doesn't do justice to Vinicius.
And just throwing it in the bin.
That start doesn't do justice to Vinicius at all. But let's just assume that start. Let's just assume that start. Let's just go with that start. Yeah. The only thing that he is more superior to Martial is the scoring, right? Everything else is like minimal. Okay, bring Vinicius in.
That's my point.
I think his effort and his work ethics, as that start already proves, will overshadow that.
No.
He'll make other players better. That's what I'm saying. He will contribute more as a team.
No, you're not answering the question, and you're doing a straw man here, right? Answer the question. What's the point of signing Vinicius if he isn't outstandingly better? You're signing someone that's a little bit better in 1 or 2 areas. You're not getting a better player. And by the way, you use Marcus Rashford's name, my brother. You use Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has this geezer on toast. On toast.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I'm not gonna lie. I do agree with that. But what I'm saying is, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to being like efficient technique, he is better than both of them, and that's a fact.
I don't care about any of that. I care about delivery, brother. Outputs. What do you win? What do you score? What do you do? Imagine that, all the leg overs and 3 goals at the end of the season. That's a madness. Listen, bro, thanks for the call, though. Appreciate it, my friend.
No doubt.
Top man. Thank you. Next on the show, we're going to go to Matt. Matt is a Man United fan. Do you agree, Matt, that Vinicius is better than Rashford and Martial, as according to Fixer?
Not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. He didn't even play in the Copa America. He barely played. And you're saying that that's the standard of player we should be going for. He got benched by Richarlison. It tells you everything you need to know. Richarlison and a player called Everton. I mean, to be fair, I've never heard of him, but it's looking. You only have to look at the lineups to see that he barely played. There's far better players out there. So, you can say all the things about his tricks and flair. And, I'd much rather have a player that delivers. Rashford's getting there with his final ball. I know people don't like to criticise it, but to be fair to him, he is getting there and he is improving. He's just got to take him time to learn it. So, I don't have any issues with a left wing. Maybe you look at someone like Dan James and you compare him to Dan James, then you'd see an improvement, definitely, because he's a technical, better footballer. But there's a lot of players that are better than Dan James. It's not nothing against him. It's just factual, isn't it?
I mean, if it had said Vinicius is better than Dan James, then we could have had a conversation. But like Martial had a bad season last year, but he's better than Vinicius. Rashford, like, I haven't looked at it factually, but let's just have a look at this. I need to check this out now, otherwise it's going.
I'd take Vinicius on a 6-month loan if they just so we have some cover for Rashford whilst he's getting his surgery done.
So let's look at this now, just very quickly. Sorry. So his European career, okay, Vinicius has scored 15 goals. So Rashford scored 5 more goals last season than in Vinicius' entire European career. In fact, in Vinicius' entire career, including 2 years in Brazil, he's only scored 33 goals. He creates less goals than he scores. So this is what I say to people. I understand people going, stat merchant. Why would you want someone that looks good that produces nothing? That's like dating someone who is a 10 out of 10 in looks, but their personality is disgusting and rank. Why would you put yourself through that kind of pain? Do you know what I mean? You need someone that's beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside. If you like on that level. By the way, you don't need to pick someone this. I'm just saying, like, why would you? I'd rather someone beautiful on the inside and not so great on the outside, right? And then the other way around is what I'm saying. Utopia. Yeah. Every woman wants the best guy in the world, the loving, most caring man in the world, but he also looks like Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Everyone has these kind of ideals, and you want that with your players. But when it comes to football players, I stand by what I say. At the end of the day, Rashford may not look as good on the ball as Vinicius, But if anyone would swap Vinicius for Rashford, they don't understand football. They do not understand football in any way, any shape, or any form. Matt,
You
great.
can guarantee that Real Madrid have just done it as a passing comment. Oh, do you want Vinicius? But
Sorry, Matt, say that again.
You almost imagine it's just a passing comment, isn't it? From Florentino Perez. Like, do you want Vinicius for a season on loan? No. See you later.
Why would we?
Yeah,
Do you know,
exactly.
why would we? I'd rather give Elanga an opportunity in a game. Like,
and he looks great.
Absolutely. Listen, Matt, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Top man, thank you. Next on the show, we're gonna go to Eric Blue. Eric Blue's with us now, a Chelsea fan. What are you saying, mate?
Hey Terry, thanks for having me back on your channel. Yeah, the whole Haaland thing. I put my votes on the poll you did, and I think we will only get one of the two options. I don't think we'll sign both of them. I'm expecting us to sign one of them, and I'm hoping it's Haaland. Yeah, I don't think Declan Rice will be possible as well this summer. But I think people are really concerned because I feel like if we don't get Haaland this summer, that might be it. We might miss out entirely on the player. So that might be why people are really concerned, because next season Chelsea wouldn't necessarily be his first choice. He would probably want to go to Madrid or Barcelona. So if we want him, we have to get him now. So that's what I think people are concerned about.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I do hear you on that. And thank you very much for calling in, Eric Blue. I do hear your concerns there, especially with Haaland maybe going somewhere else next summer. So I get the frustration there, no doubt at all. Comment that's just come out here from Mario. He's a reporter for Goal España. Mario, I can't pronounce that surname. Sorry, Mario. But he has said that the Vinicius Juniors to Man United rumors are 100% fake. He must have been listening to the stream. He just tweeted it. If Rashford was fully fit, he starts for England. Probably. It probably doesn't. Listen, a lot of people have attacked Rashford for playing through the injury. He felt like Man United and England needed him. The managers agreed. The squads agreed. So I'm taking those opinions over anybody else's. I was reading about the injuries that Rashford's got on both ankle and his shoulder, and the flexibility, the speed, and agility that it took away from him was the reason that he faded towards the end of the season. And everyone's going to have a difference of opinion as to whether it's an honourable thing or a stupid thing for him to do. And everyone's entitled to that. But Rashford's going to get his surgery and he's going to come back all guns blazing. And I actually think the surgery and the additional rest that's going to give him is going to see him move up. And I'm not he isn't on Cristiano Ronaldo's level. But when Cristiano Ronaldo took the summer of 2008 to have an ankle surgery and he started the season, so he didn't actually have as good a season in 08-09 for Man United as he did the previous year. But that ankle surgery and that time away, I think it just gave him that little respite from football he needed to recap himself and then go back all guns blazing. And that was a brilliant campaign for Man United, barring losing to the Champions League final to Barcelona. And I think Rashford will have something similar in his own world and in his own way, where I think he'll come back fresh. The signing of Jadon Sancho makes it a lot easier for him to take a step back now. There's no doubt about it. A few people said the Wi-Fi is moving mad. Not my end. My Wi-Fi is cool. Must have been something with YouTube, but I think it's all okay now. You guys seem to be there all right. Make sure that like button's being smashed. Next on the show, we're going to go to Abs. Been a long time since we spoke to Abs. What you saying, buddy?
Hey, Terry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. What's in your mind, mate?
Yeah, firstly, congratulations on the 200K. I've sort of been out busy, so I've not been able to sort of call in and say congratulations. But I was just catching what Fixer was saying, and I normally respect Fixer, but dude, what are you talking about? Vinicius, if you actually speak to Real Madrid fans, say he's more wasteful than Rashford, if you want to call it that, but you think he's better than Martial. Come on, please, let's stop this. Why do United fans try to abuse our own players? We make ourselves look like our players are shit, and it's actually starting to really annoy me now. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, the Chelsea thing, I agree with what the previous caller said. You know, with Haaland, if Chelsea don't get him this summer, I think he will end up at Barcelona or Real Madrid next summer. So I feel like if they want him, they just have to pay that 150 million.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same sort of thought process as you, mate. I feel like, first of all, on the Vinicius thing, it's not even a real rumor now. It's been confirmed by someone very close to Real Madrid, but it was always a nonsense. Anyone talking about it was chatting nonsense in relation to that. It's just nowhere near Man United, the standard we want to have. Like, honestly, I don't even think he's that much better than Dan James on a productive level, on an ability level. Yeah, cool, great. But like I said before, do you know what I mean? What's the point, bro? No, what's the point of getting with that 10 out of 10? You know what I mean? Looks amazing and everything they wear. Everyone's jealous. The Instagram posts are amazing, but inside the person's poisonous. Do you know what I mean? You need that. You need that end result. You need that end product. On the Haaland situation, I just think they've got to bide their time. Chelsea are notoriously late bidders. They've made some inroads, and it's almost like because they didn't get it first time, they seem to be like throwing baby out with the bathwater. Like, oh, that's it, summer's over because we didn't get in with the first bid. Slow down, slow down.
Terry, I think the reason that Chelsea fans are getting it's just because even Messi taking a 50% cut in salary. So supposedly one of the reasons he came back is they promised that Barca would get Haaland. So it's Chelsea's to lose, and I feel like I can understand why Chelsea fans are frustrated, just because, you know, with only people in the running, what's taking so long?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree with you on that. In terms of this news that's come out today as well about potential hijacking of Varane, do you believe there's any truth in any of those stories? Chelsea coming in for him, or do you think it's just the media being the media being the media?
The only reason I have like that bit about it, and every football fan will understand, is because Chelsea have a track record of hijacking transfers. If it wasn't for that, I'll say no. But just because Chelsea have a very proven track record, it makes me go, ooh. It just makes you think about it. That's the thing.
No, mate, I totally agree with you. I really, really do. I really do. Listen, bro, thank you very much for calling in and having your say today, and the kind words about the 200k subs. I appreciate it. Thank you, top man. Thank you. Sasko here says Thomas Tuchel likes to improve players. He likes to work with what he's got. Chelsea fans need to relax. For so long, we wanted someone that can improve that can improve our players. That's very, very true indeed. Neil O'Callaghan here says, is there a possibility that Varane is using United to get a better deal with Madrid, similar to what Ramos did? That was certainly the fear of Manchester United in the early stages of this conversation. And even a week, 10 days ago, when they found out he was waiting for a third and final offer, he was going to go on holiday. And during that time period, he was going to speak to Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti was going to make a big plea for him to stay. They were going to offer him a new deal. He was certainly open to the idea of staying at Real Madrid. One of the biggest reasons for him turning his head was the fact that he didn't feel he was being paid adequately. He did have desires to try somewhere else, try somewhere new. Man United's, a great option for him. But there was very much a disrespect paid to him by Real Madrid. They put in the third and final offer, and it's still nowhere near the standard that he thinks he deserves to be paid. A player that's been considered one of the best centre-backs in the world for the past 3 or 4 years, a three-peat winner, etc. So is there a chance that he changes his mind? Yes. Are Man United being used? No. And the reason I say no is based on certain conversations I've had with people, but also the plethora of credible journalists from multiple countries who are not connected to one another, all reporting slight variations of exactly the same story. It isn't 50 journalists reporting the same story, writing one paragraph their own, and then just copy and pasting everything other people are saying. This is very much a case of everyone's getting the same information. When it was Ramos, it was 1 or 2 journalists that were pushing it and the others saying, don't really know what's going on. So the situation does feel, in my opinion, very, very different. Very, very different indeed. ITES here says, Terry, why do you run away when it comes to gigs and his season per season stats, but you always want to talk about player stats? You are inconsistent. Well, I'm not, because you've got to look at 2 things I've always spoke about when it comes to Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs wasn't an inside forward. So the level of goals that a player like Ryan Giggs was expected to score are nowhere near that of an inside forward in the modern day game. So first and foremost, you simply have to look at that and take that into consideration. When you look at the assist, and when you look at Ryan Giggs' peak career as a winger, his goal scoring return for a winger was pretty good. You know, you look at it here in the Premier League era, 11 goals, 17 goals, 4, 12, 5, 8, 10 goals scored in the treble winning season, like across all competitions, that is, of course. 7, 7, 9, 14. For a left-sided wingers at that time, that was a high number of goals. I think Robert Pires came in and broke the mold slightly, and he increased those levels by 1 or 2 a year. But wingers weren't scoring any more than that at anywhere in football on a consistent basis. Assist levels, Ryan Giggs was creating assists at one of the highest levels in Premier League history at the time, season in, season out. What's also important to remember, up until 2004, assists were calculated differently. So an assist was only given to a player if a goal was scored from a big chance created, not a 3-yard pass 30 yards out and then a scream is put into the top corner. That's now given as an assist. All players that get assists now, including KDB and Bruno, it's in an easier era to get assists than it was. Not just, I'm not defending Ryan Giggs. I've said this for many years. All players who played the bulk of their careers in attacking roles before 2004 should have their stats reassessed by the likes of Opta to see where they land in the modern day sense of the word. I do believe if you take players like Ryan Giggs and Steve McManaman, Gianfranco Zola, Steven Gerrard, all these guys that had a large bit of their career before then, Zinedine Zidane, to name another, Figo, I think you would see all of their stats on, say, assists increase between 50 to 150. I honestly think it could be as high as that for some of these people. Like Ryan Giggs had a 12-year career before they changed how assist stats were kind of formulated and put together. So I never avoid the conversation eye test, which is why I know so much about this off the top of my head, because it's something that I've researched and delved into before. Ryan Giggs, statistically, for the position he played in the era that he played in, was absolutely out of this world. What also plays down Ryan Giggs' stats, people go, yeah, but it was like 900 odd games. Yes. But then you're taking into consideration the last 10 years of his career. So you're looking at 400 to 500 games, okay, where he played a lot of that in deeper roles, midfield roles, where he scored and assisted at a lot lower rate. If you actually look at when he was an out-and-out winger, an attacker, and you look at that time period of his career and look at his outputs to game levels, and then cross-reference that against players that played in that same position in that era, world class. People like to be very disingenuous with the facts and the numbers. So there you go, my friend, eye test. Just thought I'd break that down for you as quickly and as easily as I could. We're going to go to Ams next on the show to come on and have his say with us here. Welcome to the terrace, mate. Who do you support, my friend? Oh, I can't hear you, bro. Sounds.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Sorry, I support Man United.
Oh, it's gone again, mate. Maybe you're covering the mic up.
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
Yeah, I support Man United. I'm laughing because of that guy that came on about Vinicius. That was just, oh boy, Vinicius is crap. I got to say, I know you didn't say it, but I've seen that guy play. I think he had a half decent game against Liverpool. That was it. He doesn't do anything else, and he's nowhere near Martial. Other than that, the only other thing I wanted to mention was about Haaland. I don't think Chelsea are getting Haaland. I don't even think he's moving this season. I think it would be next season. And then there's going to be more clubs involved. So I generally think they should maybe head for someone like Lewandowski or maybe someone like that. But even that might be a stretch. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Lewandowski's been linked. I don't know how true the links are. I think they do need a proper number 9. They need a proper goal scorer. I don't think anyone would deny them would deny them that, if that makes sense. I just feel that they've got to just relax a little bit, if that makes sense. I just think there's a little bit too much panic, a little bit too much panic from certain Chelsea fans, which I just don't think they need to do right now with the state of everything else that's going on. But we'll see what happens there. What did you make of iTest's comment that basically Ryan Giggs weren't that good?
I agree with you, actually. I think the stat system now should go back to Obviously, Zidane, Figo. I could go on. Even players like Quaresma, those sort of players that were wingers or played on the wing. To me, Giggs on the wing outdoes most players today. But that's just me. I actually watched United through that period, and Giggs was world class. There was no doubt about it. So, and assists and goals, I feel like he was involved in a lot more than people might think.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's a team element, there's a progressive, there's all those things that kind of go into that. I think people always think I'm defending Ryan Giggs. I'm not. I'm trying to ascertain the modern versus the old in terms of let's rewatch. Like, I don't quite know how they do it. I suppose what's easy to do, you don't actually even have to rewatch. If you want to do complete stats, if you want to start looking at progressive runs and second assists and whatever, you're gonna have to watch the games. But just on assists, all you have to do is watch all of Man United's goals in that period and then look at it and go, actually, and then cross-reference it. So I think what used to happen back then is it had to be, as we say, like a clear-cut chance created, a goal, rather than a. I mean, I just wonder how many times Ryan Giggs has laid the ball off to someone else on the left and they've cut inside and shot. And he
shot,
was in the early years and he wasn't given an assist. I do think you would probably see his assist tally grow across all competitions from between 50 to 100. I think some players out there as well in the world of football, you could see it increase tenfold by 100.
Yeah.
But I just think you could, because like the level of assist people are getting now, I'm thinking, but it's because like, even with Bruno, I love Bruno. I mean, he's got some really good assists, but then he's got others where he just played a 2-yard pass and someone else's shot was well
and cracked it in the top corner. Yeah,
I don't take it away from Bruno because they're all getting assists for doing that, but it's a case of I just want Opta to do the work on it so we can see. And if it turns out that the assists that we're giving to Giggs were bang on, then I'll shut my mouth. But I just get, if it Beckham another one, I reckon Beckham's would go up huge again. Just
I was actually going to mention Beckham. I think that guy might be way above everyone now. Literally, from what I remember seeing visually, he assisted a lot, and I'm talking about proper assist as well.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. Like it just was quality, weren't he? Like just absolute.
Definitely, especially at Real Madrid as well. When you think of the players he was playing with, and he did actually get quite a lot of assists. I think he was up there with Figo and the Zidanes and everyone else.
Bruv, he was, like again. And do you know what it comes down to though? People now equate wingers to the modern day inside
forwards.
What people don't understand, they were wingers, but they were left and right sided midfielders. The midfield, and I feel like I'm talking to people like in stupidness here, but it's true, right? I feel like someone here said 50 to 100 is a stretch, but bro, I'm talking about a man. Ryan Giggs' first game was in like 1990, and he finished like he played for 20 or over. He played for like over 20 years. All it takes is 2 additional assists. Do you know what I mean? Per season. And you're talking 40. I think in the early years, you might be talking 5. All it takes is 3 additional assists, and we're now walking towards 60 per season. I don't think that's a stretch. I mean, maybe 100 is the higher echelons of it, but you might find in the first 3 or 4 years when he was killing it, I look an extra 10, an extra 12 here, an extra 5 here. Maybe towards the latter years, it will slow down. With the latter years, it was in the new format, so maybe 100 is too much. But I would like to just see the research done to see how much more it grows by. Like, I'd love to see it.
You could even chuck in the guy he replaced when he first made his debut, which was, I think, was Lee Sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another guy that assisted a lot, was on that sort of same trail before Giggs like overtook him. So yeah, I think it would work out for a lot of players if Opta did go back and do that. I think
it would just be a really good. If I had the money and the time and the resource, I would be something I think I'd pay for just to see what it comes out like. Yeah, you could turn that into such a great kind of show, if that makes sense, to kind of break down what people did. And like you look at David Beckham, David Beckham in his career got, I think, 127 goals and like 205 assists, and he played in like 700 odd games. I just think that when you kind of break down that ratio, and you actually, if you went back from everything before 2004 and recalculated in the modern day sort of sense, I think you could probably I think you might add an extra 50 assists to that, maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
Most definitely.
It'd be intriguing to see. It really would. Listen, my guy, thank you very much for coming on and having your say.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
Never an issue, brother. Take care, mate. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Neil here says, thanks, Terry. One last question. What is the news on Saul Niguez, and can Liverpool still get him? Or in your opinion, should Liverpool look elsewhere? Well, Liverpool are looking elsewhere. They're looking at a number of central midfielders. Basuma is an option. As an example, Yuri Tillemans is an option. Hassim Aouar is a player that they've now started to make inroads into. Saul Niguez is possible. Saul Niguez is plausible. They just need to pay the salary, which is 230, 240 per week. It's a lot of money. Barcelona are currently leading the overall race. Liverpool are leading the race in terms of the Premier League. But Chelsea and Liverpool are waiting now on tender hooks to see whether this deal with Barcelona goes through or not. If it falls through, Liverpool could pounce. In fairness, though, Liverpool could go in now and make a big offer. They go and offer him the contract now and they put the official bid into Atletico Madrid, they could still move forward. My view is, though, they're not in the position to do that just yet, Neil, because they need to sell players first. That's my thoughts and my feelings on it. Next on the show, thank you for that super chat, mate. By the way, your name's going to go into that prize draw twice for that. iTest is back with us. Long time no speak, iTest. What you saying, bro?
Yes, I was about to say, I think you have a problem with looking at stats too deeply, because I heard you speaking about Vinicius. I don't rate Vinicius, by the way. This isn't about Vinicius. I'm just talking about you in general. When we're looking at players we're linked to, and you looking at their stats to judge whether you want to buy them or not. Like, for example, with Vinicius, I don't want Vinicius, by the way, just to clarify. But you looked at Vinicius's stats and compared them to Martial's and Rashford's, and you looked at how low his numbers are. You see, the problem with that is that you're not taking into account that stats could change. These players' stats could improve. Vinicius, I don't know how old he is, but I think he's still young. He's still only like 21. So who's to say that his numbers wouldn't rise up, wouldn't improve, because he's still only 21. So you don't know it. And look at Salah, for example. If Liverpool just looked at his numbers, they would have never I don't know his numbers at Roma, but I'm just assuming that they were.
Oh, his numbers when he returned to Italy were sensational.
Okay, maybe that was a bad example because I haven't looked at his numbers at Roma. But let's say.
Can I ask you a question? When you buy a car, you buy it for how it looks, or do you test things like its efficiency, its mechanical history, its efficiency? Do you check all those things?
Listen.
No, don't listen, me.
Okay. I'm gonna explain. You will understand what I'm trying to say.
Answer the question, because listen, because I don't want to go around in circles. You're right. You don't just look at somebody's statistics, but when you have to look at people's statistics. If you're going to replace Martial, you need to replace him with someone that you are confident is going to be better than him.
Yes,
I totally said on the. Let me finish. You heard me say that Vinicius may be better on the eye test. He may have better ability, but what's the tangible evidence anybody's got that he's going to improve on Anthony Martial? I don't think there's anything out there. Now, you're right. He could go on to improve, but what have you seen from him? What efficiencies, what outputs, what have you seen that makes you believe that's going to happen? Let me ask you that question. That's what I want to know.
So when I'm looking at buying players around 25, 26, of course, you would have to look at their history and what they've done, what numbers they produced in the past and how good they are now, because they're not young anymore. They're probably not going to improve that much. But when you're looking at a 20-year-old, you can't just look at what they've done in the past, because you have to also look at their potential. You have to look at their potential and what they could do.
I addressed the potential element, and you're missing the elephant in the room here. He's at one of the biggest clubs in the world, and they're willing to take less. It's now a fake rumor. Okay, it's a fake rumor, so we have to put that out there. But at the time we were talking about it, it was believed that Real Madrid were willing to take less money for Varane just to get rid of Vinicius. So when I then look at this as a fan, and we all only know what we see. What I've seen is a player that the Real Madrid fans don't rate, who barely scores and barely creates, who, in my opinion, hasn't overtly improved in the 3 years that he's been playing at Real Madrid. And his club, Real Madrid, was seemingly willing to take less money for the Varane deal just to get him off their books. Now, basing all those things together, stats, output, eye test, and the willingness for his current club, a massive club, to keep him, it straight away is a huge red flag for me. I don't understand. I only brought it down to the stats because of a particular conversation that said he would produce more than Martial. I didn't go straight to stats. So you're misrepresenting everything that I said, ITS. Why do you always do that on this show?
Okay, so let me just clarify one more time. I don't want Vinicius Junior. I'm just for argument's sake. In general, I'm saying
why do you ignore the 3 or 4 things that I say and just focus on the one element of stats that I mentioned? Why do you do that all the time?
What did I ignore?
You ignored all the other elements about Vinicius as to why I wouldn't want to sign him, and you just focused on the statistical output element that I spoke about. I mentioned multiple things.
Okay, you mentioned Madrid wanting to sell him, and obviously you have doubts because you're thinking, why would they want to sell him? Yeah. What about when Chelsea sold Lukaku, De Bruyne, Salah? What about when they sold them? They might not realize the potential. Okay. They might not realize the potential. But could realize that.
And that's a fair argument. And I totally get that. And you could be right on that. But I'm just telling you why I wouldn't want him. And the point is, what you're then alluding from your debate is the question that I ask of people. Saying yes, a 21-year-old could get better is a very easy statement to make. My question is, based on what? What are you not other 21-year-olds have done it. What is it you've seen in Vinicius that tells you that he could go on to be better at Man United than Rashford is right now? Tell me.
Okay. First of all, you could look at a lot of different things. You could look at
No.
I'm explaining.
What have you seen?
Okay. First of all, like I said, I don't want Vinicius. I'm just saying in general with youngsters, what you could see in them. You could see their attitude. I don't know Vinicius's attitude, but let's say he wants to improve. You could see that in him. Every day he's turning up to training early, and you see that with reports on what other people say about him. You could look at his ability, his finishing ability, his dribbling. You could look at multiple different things to see his potential. And to see, and to there's a lot of different things you can see to judge potential. A lot of different things. So when I look at young players, I don't like to see what they did in the past because they're young players. I like to see what they could do. But
you don't have that attitude to players at Man United, the club you propose to support. Like Rashford, you go, didn't do this, he hasn't done that. He's not good enough. Why don't you, when it comes to Rashford, talk about the future? Why do you always talk about the things that he hasn't done yet? Then, why do you do that?
Because with Rashford, I'm not seeing what I want to see, considering the position he's playing in. He's playing on the left. So if he's playing on the left,
hang on a minute. But then you've just said that I shouldn't do that to Vinicius. I shouldn't talk about the things that I'm not seeing, and I should focus on the things that he might produce in the future. So when it comes to Marcus Rashford, why don't you just focus on the things that he might do in the future?
No, young players, for a long time,
aren't they?
Yes, but for a long time, ever since he's been here, I haven't seen him improve in terms of putting in crosses. Those
Real Madrid fans that have written off, that have said the things they say about Vinicius, that's what they say, and you're telling them they're wrong for doing it. So why do you do it to Marcus Rashford?
Because I haven't seen improvement in crossing ever since he's joined. I haven't seen him put in more crosses. Let's say he's an inside forward. I don't think he scores enough goals for an inside forward. Like for example, this season, now that he's off penalties, is exposed his goal scoring. He only scored, I think it was 11 or 10 goals in the league.
Hang on a minute. In all competitions, Marcus Rashford in the top 4 leagues in Europe was the second highest goal scoring inside forward last season. Facts. So only one inside forward in the world on the left-hand side in the top 4 leagues last season. Last time I checked, someone may have got him. He's been in the top 3 for the past 2 seasons. I think he was second last year. So the fact that only 1 or 2 people that play in his position in the top 4 leagues in Europe have outscored him, that makes your claim nonsense. But however, let's not get caught up. Let's not get caught up on that fact. Let's go back to what I said before. You've just said you haven't seen this improvement, that improvement, That's exactly what I said about Vinicius. That I haven't seen the improvements in him, and I haven't seen the ability turn into anything more tangible, i.e. more crosses going in accurately, more goals being scored. So you're now using a lack of statistics to downplay Rashford. But you just
there's a difference. There's a difference.
You've just then said, I can't do that to Vinicius. So to answer Tyrone's point in the comments, why do I always shut people down? I shut eye test down because eye test follows the have hope model. He changes his logic. He changes his morality. He changes his opinions on every particular player to win singular arguments as opposed to having a stance on football
But
players.
there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. Shall I tell you what the difference is?
Look,
Shall I
eye
tell you
test,
what the difference is?
well, I focus massively on the outputs of that ability and the eye test produce. And if I don't see that,
Let me tell you the difference.
elite end of the game in every position that you play in, whether you're an attacker or a defender or a goalkeeper, your statistical outputs have to be good. There is no world-class
Let me tell you the difference. The difference is I watch Rashford every
a holding midfield player that doesn't have world-class holding midfielder that doesn't have world-class holding midfield player statistics, ball retention, pass completion, being dribbled past, interception rates, tackle rates, defensive duel capability outputs. All these things stack up. There isn't a world-class CDM who loses 90% of the defensive duels they go into. It is absolutely beyond me. I test. You've had an absolute mare today, my friend. I love and respect the fact you come on the terrace, but you've had an absolute mare today, buddy.
Please look at Ronaldo's stats at Sporting Lisbon. And if you were at Man United controlling transfers, then we wouldn't have bought United. Because I haven't looked at Ronaldo's stats at Sporting, but I'm sure it weren't great. So you would have been like, rah, his stats aren't great. He ain't scoring that many goals or assisting that many. So let's not buy him. That's what you would have done.
Again, it's a fair argument to put in, okay? But one, the world was different back then in terms of he was playing as a winger, so you wouldn't have looked at a goal scoring rate of a winger in that time. What you would be looking more at is their dribbling ability, their crossing ability, and everything else that comes with it. You know, I think he scored 5 or 6 goals in the one season he played over there. Which, by the way, again, 5 or 6 goals for a 17, 18-year-old winger in that era was very, very good. But what you could see with Ronaldo was the way he dribbled. You could see the brilliant dribbling, the brilliant skill, getting to the byline, and you could see there was potential for end product. But he was straight away bought by Man United and systematically, season after season, got better. And you could see from day one, season 1, season 2, season 3, the progressive improvement of the football player. I go back to my point about Vinicius again. There seems to have been, to me, both statistically and on the eye test, and then anecdotally listening to fans talk and the media speak about him, no real progression over that time period. If Vinicius has got better year on year, and now at 21, we had the chance of buying him, you think, do you know what, though? Every season he's got better. He's working hard. He's improving. That changes things. You're missing that key fundamental out when it comes to talking about this argument. But, buddy, listen, I'm going to move on at some more callers. I appreciate your opinions. I appreciate your points. I love our little exchanges. They're amazing. But remember, you can no longer come on the terrace now and moan about things that Rashford hasn't done. You can only focus on the things that he might do in future. Is that fair enough?
He's approaching 24. There's a difference. When you're young, I could look at what you could do in the future. I could look at your potential. But
you did it when you were young.
When you're in your prime,
he was young. So now I'll give you that. Rashford's now 24, so we'll take him out. So what's the age limit? So what players what age do they have to be under for you not to focus on what they haven't done?
You have to be under 22.
So anyone 22 or under 22?
Under 22, I don't care what you did. I look at your potential because what you did, you're still young. You're still developing.
We will hold you to that eye test. We will hold you to that standard. Top man, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it. I love eye test. He's absolutely great. Vinicius is butt cheeks, is what Andre says here. I love my exchanges with him. But there we go. I do get his point. I get his point that anyone under the age of 22, he just looks at their potential still. That is a fair comment to have. I have no issue with that. And the reason I jump into eye test is because we've had many exchanges before. But the problem is, you'd never set the standard of under 22s before. I almost guarantee you that there'll be an 18, 19, 20-year-old that will emerge in the next year that he doesn't like, that he won't follow through with that logic on. That's my problem with eye test. He changes his logic to win individual arguments about players that he likes or dislikes, as opposed to just being fair and balanced. Comment here says, Ronaldo, he was completing a lot of dribbles and a lot of take-ons also. This resulted in Sporting having shots on goal. He was a huge talent. Yeah, of course he was. We know that about Ronaldo. Absolutely. Terry is Moneyball FC. But there's an element of that that's important. Now, if you find a player who's attempting 16, 17 dribbles a game and winning 80% of them, but he's crossing accuracies at 5%, you have to weigh up, and therefore he's barely creating chances. You have to weigh up and go, well, maybe we're better off with a player that only completes 5 dribbles per game, but he's crossing accuracies 30%. He may not be as good a dribbler. If he's a better crosser and creator, and he's a good dribbler, overall he's a better football player. So you have to look at eye test, and you have to look at the statistical evidence. There is no player that's world class on the eye test who doesn't have good numbers in his particular field. If you're a world class dribbler and crosser, your statistics for dribbling and crossing are going to be world class. It can't work. It can't be he's the best crosser in the world. Only completes 5% of them. That's never happened. It doesn't happen. Eye test merchants are always in the mud when it comes to brass tacks. And if you notice again what eye test did, don't look at stats. What doesn't he like about Rashford? Doesn't do enough things that are statistically counted. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today to the Football Terrace, thank you. Smash that like and that share button. We're back later on today with more content for you. Until then, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again.